Hi, everyone. I'm your Mayor, Rod Frank, and we're continuing our conversations and having virtual coffees. And I got my virtual coffee right here with leaders and important stakeholders in our community. And it's my honor to introduce Father Jim Corrigan from Our Lady Perpetual Help Church, which has been an important part of Strathcona County. I think before we got here in '63, the church was standing, so I'm thinking it's probably the late '50s. But Father Jim, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Frank. I'm happy to be hanging with you as mayor of our county, but also as a parishioner at Our Lady of Perpetual Help Parish. It's a good combination, brother.
Thank you. My pleasure. So, I've been going to church because my mom made me go to church way back when, and now it's part of my life. But we've come a long ways, baby, I guess, because I went to my first virtual mass. So what has this meant to the church and to our church in Strathcona County in particular, and to you? How do you convert, I guess, 20 centuries of physically going to church to, guess what? We're doing it online now, starting next week.
You know, Rod, that's a really interesting question, and in a lot of ways, we could actually be pretty thankful that we're in the 21st century in this time of pandemic, eh? Mm-hmm. Because if we were 50 or even only 50 years ago, basically would have had to shut the doors, period, eh? You know, there would have been no way other than a telephone of communicating with people in any way, any meaningful way. So, yeah, I never dreamed this would happen. And I'm a young priest by most standards, but, you know, the fact that we cannot celebrate the Mass, we cannot have the Holy Eucharist, it's unprecedented. Never would have dreamed it possible. So, congratulations on your first virtual Mass,
yes,
brother. I just had my first virtual Mass a couple of weeks ago, too. So, right. We're in the same boat.
So, was the church somewhat prepared? We've never done this before, as you said, and it's brand new territory. But obviously, the church was able to ramp up and accommodate this crisis. And I'm wondering how you did it so quickly.
Rod, one of the blessings of Our Lady Perpetual Help is we have some really beautiful, gifted, sharing people. And we have a very good audiovisual system in the parish, as you're aware. But we also have some really great expertise between our parish team, but also among our volunteers, our parishioners. They stepped up and went the extra mile to kind of get us not just to the point of being on Facebook with our presentations, but also so it's embedded within the OLPH website for people to hear. So a number of people really went the extra mile to make it possible. I'm bragging a little bit right now, yeah. Forgive my pride, Lord, but I think that we have far better visuals at our celebrations than the Archbishop does at the Basilica.
Okay.
You know? Just because of circumstances, eh? Okay.
Yeah, we do better than the province a lot too, so I understand where you're coming from. But
right, exactly, brother.
Just kidding. Okay, so we've got some great people in the parish that were able to lend their talents. That's fantastic. Now, how do you administer to your flock when now you've got to be a virtual priest? How do you do that?
You know, I mean, we have good signage up at the church, obviously, with my contact information. Mayor Rod, as you know, we have many parishioners, but about 400 of them, 400 families subscribe to the weekly bulletin by email. So we're putting that out on a weekly basis still for the people that subscribe. Our website has our website has all the information that people would need as far as accessing Mass times or adoration times or what's happening during Holy Week, for instance. But there's a group of people that we need to be concerned about and that we're really working diligently right now to think about how can we serve them. And certainly that's the more elderly population and those who have pre-existing conditions, those who are isolated right now and feel like they have to stay home. And perhaps we don't have their email. Perhaps they don't have the internet. So we're really working right now at getting a system together where we can actually make a phone contact with each of those folks and say, how are you doing?
Right.
These are the people that built the church. They're the ones that we need to be in contact with. But it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess you'd like parishioners, if you know somebody that's not being reached, we want to give that information to the church offices. That would be important.
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
Mayor Rod. If you're aware of a situation, it would be very good for us to be able to have that information. We have a database here in the parish. It's quite extensive, and so what we're trying to do right now is to create reports to show us people of a certain age, that type of thing, so that it gives us a sense of, for the first go around, we need to approach, these are the people we need to make a phone call to,
Okay.
But the better we can be, period, in checking up on our neighbors, our friends, our fellow parishioners, we all have an obligation to be looking after our neighbor.
Right. And that's a big part of the pandemic response. We've all heard wash your hands and stay home and physical distancing, but look after your neighbor. And not only for their physical needs and temporal needs, but also their spiritual needs, is what you're saying.
Yeah. We're all brothers and sisters in the Lord, right?
Good. This is great news. The church has been able to adapt. I guess there's no excuse for not going to church on Sunday, though. And when is OLPH service? When is that?
Well, what we're doing right now is we have, for instance, for Palm Sunday, we have adoration at 7 o'clock and of the Blessed Sacrament, but Mass will be at 8 o'clock. And we're publishing the schedule for Holy Week as we speak, actually. And
right.
I have to tell you, my brother and his wife are hardcore Montreal Canadian fans. And so he has kind of a man cave
right.
home. And it's a shrine to the Canadians and Molsons. And he sent me a picture after one of our masses. And there's Father Jim celebrating Mass at Our Lady of Perpetual Help on this very large screen, flanked by all this Montreal Canadiens paraphernalia.
Aha. So you're competing with the Montreal Canadiens and everybody's man cave is what you're doing.
Well, I said to myself, that's very paradox, because we have the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass, which is the source and the summit for us as Catholics. But it was flanked by the Holy Shrine of the Montreal Canadiens, which is pretty important to a lot of people too.
Yeah. Well, other than the fact your brother's misguided with the Canadiens, because I'm a huge Oilers fan, that's a great story. So
I'll keep you in prayer, Rod.
Yes. You're not Canadians too, are you? Oh,
brother,
my goodness.
I became a Canadiens fan when there was 6 teams to choose from. It my ankles aren't sore from jumping off the wagon.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, anything else the parishioners should know, or wider Strathcona County? The church is open and we're ready to provide support, is what I'm hearing.
Mayor Rod, this is important. We're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we're feeling everyone's feeling the anxiousness and the disconcertedness. And our healthcare people, our governments, our local governments, they're going the extra mile. There is no question. But folks, what we need to remember is that we're not in charge. It is the Lord. And, from a Christian perspective, it takes the pressure off me. This is the God that brought us through world wars, through bubonic plagues, through terrorist attacks. This is the same Lord who will get us through this difficult time here too. And folks, when you're struggling, just remember that it is the Lord who's in charge, and He only wants good for you. Only wants good. And He's got our back. We'll be okay.
Well, those are great words. We'll end on that. And of course, people are going to be very curious about the Easter week coming up, and all that will be published on our website, the OLPH website. So we can find it all there. Father Jim, thank you. You keep the great tradition of great priests in Sherwood Park going. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. So we're going to sign off. I just want to always say, look after yourself, look after your neighbor, and stay safe.
Very good, Mayor Rod. Thanks very much for this opportunity, and God bless you all.
Thank you.